Welcome back everyone. I hope you're just as excited for this video as I am, as this video has been a long time coming. Today I'm going to be introducing you to the tower, breaking down different parts about this game, and talking about the many builds that you'll use in your first year playing this game. So that brings us to the big question of, what is the tower? The tower is a unique tower defense game in which you stand alone against an onslaught of enemies. Your foes will consist of normal and elite enemies, and you'll need to constantly upgrade and modify your tower by choosing from an arsenal of unique ultimate weapons, cards, and modules. The tower follows a very simple game loop. First, you'll start your run, then you'll defeat enemies, which will allow you to collect coins. Eventually, you'll get overrun by your enemies, and you'll be able to use your coins to upgrade your tower. And from here, the loop starts all over again. The first area of the tower we're going to talk about is the workshop. This is an area which allows the player to unlock in-run upgrades and increase the starting level of your offense, defense, and utility upgrades. The workshop is so good because the first upgrade purchased in a run will always cost the same regardless of the amount of levels you have in the workshop. For example, if you have no levels in the workshop, your first upgrade might cost $10, but if you have 1,000 levels in the workshop, that first upgrade in-game will still cost $10. You'll be able to level up upgrades in the workshop by spending the coins you earn in run. Next up we have cards. These are a quick and easy way to boost your tower's stats and grant special abilities to your tower. You'll be able to use gems to unlock and upgrade cards. What's so great about cards is you can pick and choose what cards you think fit your tower the best depending on your playstyle. Talking about tournaments, these are going to offer a chance for you to test your tower against other players through a test of both endurance and strength. Every week we're going to have 2 separate tournaments that can reward us both gems, stones, and keys. Because of this, tournaments play a key role in your progression in the game. In the tower, gems and stones are going to be our main currency. Gems are an abundant in-game currency which can be used to purchase both cards and modules. Stones are a rare currency which can be earned on a periodic basis, and they can be used to acquire and enhance our ultimate weapons. If you guys do want to learn more about how to farm stones, I'll have a video pop up now and link down below in the description. And with that shameless plug out of the way, we can talk about what we're going to be spending stones on. Ultimate weapons hold incredible power and have game-changing abilities. There are a total of 9 different ultimate weapons you can choose from, and when choosing from an ultimate weapon, you're given a choice between 3 random ultimate weapons, so choose carefully because there's no way to change the ultimate weapons once you've chosen them. Up next will be events. Events will last 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks you'll be able to complete challenges to earn medals. Once you have some medals, we can use these to purchase relics, skins, backgrounds, songs, and bots. Now, why do we want these? Well, relics are going to add a unique stat bonus that stack and strengthen your tower over time, and they fall into the category of either common or rare. Each relic will have only 1 stat bonus, so this could either be affecting how many coins you earn or your attack speed. Bots are unique battle enhancements that can add an extra level of offense, utility, and economy to your tower. In events, it's going to be really important to focus the skins, backgrounds, and songs because of the stacking bonus multiplier. These multipliers can be obtained through multiple sources, and these are all multiplied by each other, not added on top of each other. Therefore, if we just choose 3, a card bonus, tier bonus, and theme bonus, it's going to multiply out to 7.19, not add up to 6.83. Now this might not seem like a big difference, but when you have 9 different multipliers active, it makes a big difference. When we're in our runs, we're going to have the option to choose different perks. These are special in-game bonuses that will boost your tower and can increase base stats, the speed of the game, and enhance your ultimate weapons to new levels. During our runs, we can obtain modules, and outside of runs, we can purchase modules with gems and merge modules. Modules are going to add an additional way to customize your tower through normal and unique effects. There's a lot to say about modules, so if you want to learn more about modules and their busted unique effects, I'll have a video pop up right now and a video link down in the description. Finally, we're going to have the laboratory. In total, you can have up to 5 labs, and these can be unlocked with gems. Inside the lab, you'll be able to research different permanent upgrades to your tower. These can allow you to improve your base stats, cards, modules, and even your ultimate weapons. The lab is a really important part of the game because these upgrades can be so impactful, and upgrades can take a significant amount of time to finish researching. Because of this, you want to make sure you're researching the right things for your tower and your build. In talking about builds, it's really important to make sure you're using the right build for where you are in the game. So let's talk about the 3 builds you're going to use in your first year playing the tower. First up, we're going to have the turtle build. The turtle strategy is the best day one build for any tower player. This build focuses on defense and eliminating enemies through the use of thorns. One thing to note about the turtle build and why we use thorns is because of stacking damage. Enemy damage will increase by 4% for every consecutive hit. If we're not eliminating enemies quickly enough, eventually they'll do enough damage to destroy our tower. Now, what workshop upgrades do we want to focus? Our bread and butter for this build is going to be defense percent, health, thorns, and defense absolute. Defense percent is going to reduce incoming damage by a fixed percent. Health will increase the maximum health of your tower. Thorns will inflict back a percent of the enemy's damage back onto them every time they hit your tower. This will work on both melee and ranged enemies. And finally, defense absolute will block a flat amount of damage from enemy attacks. Defense percent and defense absolute do have a special relationship. Defense percent will be applied to an enemy's attack first, and defense absolute will be applied second. While you're using the turtle build, we're going to want to avoid modules. What we should do with all our gems is take those and focus them onto cards. During our runs, we'll be able to acquire some modules from boss drops. These modules will be sufficient for our tower during this period of time. Moving on to cards, the main focus of our gems, we're going to want to make sure we have equipped our health, health regen, cash, coins, extra defense, and fortress cards. Our health card can increase our health by up to 4 times. Our health regen card can increase our health regen by up to 2.6 times. Extra defense can increase defense percent by up to 11%, and our fortress card can increase our defense absolute by up to 2.2 times. Finally, our cash card can increase cash earned by up to 2.4 times, and our coins card can increase coins earned by up to 1.45 times. Once you unlock perks, you're going to have the option of a ton of perks. The best perk hands down for any build that you use is going to be perk wave requirement. This is going to reduce the waves between perks by 20%. One type of perk that we're going to see are going to be trade-off perks. With these perks, we're going to give something up to get something in return. We're going to reduce enemy damage by 50%, but also reduce our tower damage by another 50%. With this build, we're really focusing on our health and defense, so giving up a little bit of our damage to reduce our enemy damage is going to be massive. Whenever you see perk wave requirement come across on your perk options, you always want to grab it no matter what. Other perks that are going to be great for the turtle build are going to be our max health, health regen, defense absolute, and defense percent. And last but not least, in the laboratory, we're going to want to focus on our health, health regen, defense absolute, and defense percent. One thing I want to call out is that the turtle build is really good for tier 1, and after tier 1 you're not going to be using it, but you will be using our next build. And that next build is going to be the blender build. As we continue to play the tower, our build is naturally going to evolve from the turtle build into a blender build. This is going to occur as we unlock more sections of the workshop, which will allow us to add an aspect of offense to our build. Starting off in the workshop, we're going to talk about that aspect of offense because that is found in the defense category. Orbs are going to be our main way of eliminating enemies, and they're going to be what gives Blender its name. When unlocked, you can unlock a base of 4 in the workshop, and these will circle your tower and instantly eliminate normal enemies. Next, we're going to have Shockwave, Knockback, and Lifesteal. One unlocked, Shockwave will periodically have a wave emanate from your tower, and you can increase the size of your Shockwave to push enemies into orbs. Knockback is going to allow your tower's attack to push back enemies. This will prevent enemies from crashing into your tower and knock them back into orbs. Finally, Lifesteal is going to heal your tower for percentage of the damage you're dealing. Finally, into offense, we're going to have Multi-Shot, Bounce Shot, and Attack Speed. Multi-Shot will add a chance for your tower to shoot more than one enemy at once. Bounce Shot will add a chance that your tower's projectiles hit an additional enemy, and Attack Speed will increase the rate of our tower's fire. These 3 in combination with Knockback are going to be our main way of forcing enemies into orbs, since we can keep enemies at bay at our tower range. In the utility tree, we're going to have free upgrades, max recovery, and enemy attack level skip. There are 3 different free upgrades, one for offense, one for defense, and one for utility. Free upgrades is fantastic because at the end of each round, we're going to have a chance to receive a free upgrade to any random upgrade in our workshop. Next, max recovery will increase the max shield that your tower can have. Last but certainly not least is going to be enemy attack level skips, as this is one of the best workshop upgrades in the entire game. This will add a chance that enemy attack damage will not increase at the end of the next wave. When you first unlock this, you should see a massive increase in the number of waves that you're able to complete. Now that we've moved on from Turtle into Blender, we can finally start spending gems on modules. A good marker to know when it's smart to start spending gems on modules is to make sure that all your common cards are at level 6. This will ensure that you have most all cards and that they're going to be very effective. Finally, talking about modules, we're going to talk about the unique effects that are going to be really good for the Blender build. Under attack modules, the unique effect we're going to want to look for is going to be Astral Deliverance. This is going to increase your bounce shot range by 3% of your tower's total range, and each bounce is going to increase the damage by a certain percent. Moving on to defense modules, we're going to want to look out for Wormhole Redirector. This is going to allow your health regeneration to heal up a percentage of your shield. And finally, for ultimate weapon modules, since we're still going to be fairly new in the game, Multiverse Nexus is going to be super useful. When equipped, Deathwave, Golden Tower, and Black Hole will always activate at the same time, but the cooldown will be the average of those plus or minus a few seconds. This module is fantastic in both the early and late game because syncing these three ultimate weapons can add a massive boost to your tower's economy. For utility modules, we're going to have a few different options. First up is Singularity Harness, which increases the range of each bot by a few meters. Additionally, enemies hit by the flame bot are going to receive double damage. Next up we have Galaxy Compressor, which when collecting a recovery package is going to reduce the cooldown of all ultimate weapons by a few seconds. Finally, Black Hole Digester is going to give you an extra coins per kill bonus for each free upgrade you got on the current wave. One thing to note on this one is if you get a offense, defense, and utility upgrade, that is 3 different bonuses. So at 10%, that's an extra 30%. And with the wave skip card, all of those free upgrades stack onto the next wave that you play. Moving on to cards, it's still going to be great to use the cards that we had in Turtle. We're just going to be building upon that and adding a few extra cards to use. First up on that list is going to be Extra Orbs. This is going to add between 1 and 3 orbs that are going to circle your tower. This really helps to reduce the amount of enemies that are making it all the way and crashing onto your tower. Next is the Free Upgrades card. This is going to add a chance to gain a free level to your offense, defense, or utility upgrades at the end of each round. Next up are 2 of my favorite cards. First up is Wave Skip. This is going to add a chance to skip waves, speeding up your runs overall, and granting coins for the rounds that are skipped. And finally, Wave Accelerator is going to reduce the downtime between waves. Death Ray is going to be a card that adds a powerful ray that shoots out from your tower. This will eliminate normal enemies on contact. The Landmine Stun card is going to give landmines a 40% chance to stun enemies. This will work on normal and elite enemies, but not boss enemies. And finally, the Recovery Package Chance card is going to increase your chance of receiving recovery packages every single round. Moving on to perks, we're going to be adding to the list from the Turtle build. Again, we want to make sure we get the perk wave requirement first every single time if we can. So adding to that list, we're going to have free upgrade chances, orbs, and bounce shot. Free upgrade chance is going to increase your chance of getting free upgrades. Orbs will add 2 additional orbs to circle around your tower. And bounce shot is going to increase the number of bounce shots you can get to a total of plus 6. In the Blender build, we're going to be able to dive a lot deeper into our labs. In the main research, we have 2 very important labs. First is going to be lab speed, which I really recommend you focusing. This is going to allow the game to go much faster and save you a lot of time in the long run. Also in main research, we're going to have lab speed. In the tower, lab times can get really long, so it's a great idea to put a lot of levels into this early on. Moving to attack research, we're going to focus attack speed and light speed shots. Light speed shots has 1 level and is going to reduce travel time from shots, allowing enemies to be hit instantly. On top of this, it's going to make your game look a lot cleaner and run a lot better. Moving on into defense research, once we have the wall, we're going to want to make sure that we're researching wall health, wall rebuild, regen, thorns, and invincibility. The wall invincibility will only allow the wall to become invincible for a brief time after it's rebuilt. As you get further in your runs, elite enemies are going to be your main problem, and early on, vampires will be the bane of your existence. Therefore, it's going to be really important to research Garlic Thorns. It applies up to 5% of your thorn damage onto vampires. Under utility, we're going to want to make sure we're researching our coins per elimination bonus. This is going to increase the number of coins we're getting every time we're eliminating an enemy. We also want to make sure that we're upgrading our enemy attack level skips, because now that we're in Blender, we're going to be farming above 4500 on whatever tier we're in. Therefore, we want to make sure that we can skip as many waves as possible. For cards, we're going to want to make sure that we research Extra Orbs Adjuster and Extra Orbs. Both of these are going to apply to the Extra Orbs card. The Extra Orbs Adjuster research will allow you to set what range you want the orbs to circle at, and the Extra Orbs research can add up to 2 additional orbs to your Extra Orbs card for a total of 3 orbs. For our perk research, we're going to want to increase perk waves required. This is going to reduce the number of waves required between perks. Then we're going to want to research our standard perk bonus, which is going to increase the bonus we get from our standard perks. So that's going to increase things like our health bonus, our coin bonus, and our game speed bonus. Another great lab to research is going to be perk option quantity. This can add up to 2 additional perks for you to choose from every time a perk comes up, taking you from 2 to 4. Then we have first perk choice, which will allow you to choose one perk, and every time you choose your first perk, that will always be an option. Then we're going to have our improved trade-off perks, which is going to increase the bonus of our trade-offs. Now, this only increases the positive return of these perks and doesn't reduce the negative trade-off. Finally, we're going to have Orb Devo. This isn't a required build you have to use in the game, but it comes with a lot of pros. This is going to be a specialized build focused on maximizing coins earned in the early waves by optimizing our workshop upgrades. When using this build, we're going to focus on farming tanks through a combination of Shockwave, Orbs, Golden Tower, and Black Hole. Tanks are going to give us a base of 4 coins per elimination, so the goal is going to be to stack as many tanks around your tower to maximize the Golden Tower Black Hole bonus. Some requirements we're going to have for Orb Devo are going to be ultimate weapons. We're going to want to make sure that our cooldown for Golden Tower and Black Hole is at a 1-to-1. Next up for cards, the only card that we need is going to be our Extra Orbs card. And in the lab, we're going to have to make sure we've already researched our Extra Orbs adjuster, extra orbs, and we're going to want to make sure we have as many levels into our Black Hole coin bonus, while we want our Black Hole damage already maxed at 2%. Moving on to our workshop, this is really what's going to bring the build together. In our offensive workshop, we're going to want to make sure our range is maxed out at 69.5. Things that we're going to want to avoid are going to be our crit chance, multi-shot chance, rapid fire chance, bounce shot chance, super crit chance, and rend armor chance, as we want to make sure that we're not killing any enemies with anything but our thorns. Some optional ones we can get is damage to deal with protectors, critical factor, damage per meter, multi-shot targets, rapid fire duration, bounce shot targets, bounce shot range, super crit multiplier, and rend armor multiplier. These are all optional because while you don't need them, they're going to be really great if you want to switch from an Orb Devo back into a blender later in your build and for your runs and tournaments. In defense, we're going to want to max health, health regen, defense percent, defense absolute, orb speed, shockwave frequency, and wall health. For health, health regen, defense absolute, and wall health, you likely won't be able to max all these out yet, but you want to make sure you have as much into these as you can because we're not going to be utilizing free upgrades. Next, we have our somewhat category. For thorns, we're going to start off slow with around 3 to 5%, and you're going to want to slowly increase this as the run goes on. We want to have enough thorns to where we're eliminating common and fast enemies that are reaching our tower, but not enough to where we're instantly eliminating all enemies so that tanks aren't stacking up. Next, for shockwave, if you're playing without a wall, 1.4 is great. If you're playing with a wall, 1.6 is where you're going to want to be. What shockwave is going to do for us, it's going to help us shuffle our enemies. Since fast and common enemies are both much quicker than tanks, when shockwave pushes all enemies away, those common and fast enemies will be the first to hit your tower. Moving over into the utility part of the workshop, we're going to want to focus on maxing our coins per elimination and our enemy attack level skips as much as we can. We won't be able to max out our enemy attack level skips just yet, but this is something that we're going to want to really focus on as much as we can in run and outside of the run. The one thing we're going to want to focus on avoiding in the utility section is going to be any of the free upgrades. Whether it's offense, defense, or utility, this will mess up our Orb Devo. Moving over into the modules section, at this point we should have our cards at a good point if not maxed, and we should be putting most all of our gems into modules. For defense, we're going to be going for Wormhole Redirector. This is going to allow our health regeneration to heal up a portion of our shield. For ultimate weapons, we're going to want to focus on Multiverse Nexus, syncing up that Death Wave, Golden Tower, and Black Hole. For utility modules, we're going to want to focus on getting Singularity Harness. This will allow us to increase the range of our bots by a certain amount of meters. Galaxy Compressor, that will reduce the cooldown of our ultimate weapons whenever we get a recovery package. Coming down to cards, the only card that we need to make Orb Devo work is going to be our Extra Orbs card. Other than that, we can use a few farming cards, including health, health regen, coins, enemy balance, extra defense, fortress, wave skip, and wave accelerator. I wouldn't use fortress past tier 3, it's great for 1, 2, and 3. A few optional cards would be cash, slow aura, plasma cannon, intro sprints, recovery package chance, Second Wind, and Demon Mode. And ones that we're going to want to avoid are going to be attack speed, free upgrades, death ray, and energy net. When it comes to perks, our must-have perks are going to be perk wave requirement, max health, health regeneration, defense percent, defense absolute on tiers 1, 2, and 3, basic coin bonus, our golden tower bonus, our black hole duration increase, our 50/50 trade-off perk, and our coin increase trade-off perk. A few optional perks that we want to get after our must-haves are going to be cash bonus, game speed boost, random ultimate weapon perks, and interest. Perks that we're going to want to avoid are going to be our extra orbs, bounce shot, damage, landmine damage, and any trade-off perk that's going to reduce health other than our coin increase. There isn't going to be a huge change in our laboratory as compared with Blender, but I do want to point out that we do want to keep researching our attack speed because this is great in the long term, and we shouldn't put it off just because we're doing Orb Devo and we're not leveling it up in game. From what I'm seeing, a lot of players start to try Orb Devo right before or right after they get the wall. Because of that, we're going to want to take some time to really level up our wall upgrades. For utility, we're going to want to keep increasing our coins per elimination bonus and our enemy attack level skip. For ultimate weapon research, it's going to be really important that we get our golden tower bonus up, our golden tower duration up, our black hole coin bonus up, and our extra black hole. Before we start Orb Devo, our black hole damage should already be maxed. For card research, to do Orb Devo, we are going to need that extra orb adjuster and extra orbs. So if you start doing Orb Devo without it, make sure you get that as soon as possible. For our perks, we're going to research our waves required, our standard perk bonus, ban perks, and improved trade-off perks. For bots, you should be focusing on Golden Bot, both the cooldown and duration. We want to make sure that the cooldown is synced to a either 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 sync with our Golden Tower and Black Hole. So don't get too carried away with this upgrade. For our modules, we're going to want to research reroll shards and daily mission shards, just to make sure we can get all the sub-module effects and max out our modules. When it comes to ultimate weapons, the two that we have to have is going to be Golden Tower and Black Hole. A few that are going to be nice to have but not needed are Death Wave, Spotlight, and Chrono Field, and ones that we're going to want to turn off are any damage-based ultimate weapons, so our Chain Lightning, Smart Missiles, Inner Landmines, and Poison Swamp. Now, a few tips for in-game. With your Thorns, we're going to start with about 3 to 5% and slowly increase them as enemy health and damage increase throughout the run. Now, on to the worst of the worst, enemy protectors.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
We're going to have two ways of dealing with them. First, you can increase your damage to eliminate protectors, but you want to make sure you don't increase your damage too much to where you're killing normal enemies. For this, you also want to have protectors marked on your target priority as a top priority. Next, in the method that I use when doing Orb Devo is to have 2 black holes at a greater than 25-second duration at 2% max HP damage. This will eliminate protectors over the course of 2 black holes. Next up, we're going to move into some of the results that I got doing both Blender and Orb Devo, and we're going to kind of compare how they stack up against each other and what's best for you. Now, I want to note that this data is a little bit old, but it's not unreliable. I'm making about 3 times the coins from this point, but that's mainly based on relics and lab upgrades. As you can see, this is a Blender run. I was able to make it to wave 7,000, and I got about 31 billion coins. Over the course of 10 hours and 45 minutes, I was getting 2.88 billion coins per hour. Moving on, this is a build that I did with full Orb Devo from start to finish. I never got my free upgrades, I never upgraded anything else. This run lasted 6 hours and 40 minutes, and I made a total of 16.5 billion coins. And per hour, we're looking at 2.48, so this is about 400 million coins less per hour doing our full Orb Devo. And if we look at our cells comparing the two runs, we're going from a little over 1,000 to about 500 per hour. Moving on to our last set of data, I had a run that I started with Orb Devo, but finished in Blender. Around wave 2500 to 3000, this is when I started filling out my workshop, starting with my free upgrades, and then moving on to the rest of my defense and offense. This run took 11 hours and made a total of 38.38 billion and 12,000 cells. Overall, the cells are very similar to just my Blender run, but I was able to increase my coins earned to 3.49 billion from 2.88 billion. And if we take away the excess waves I was able to finish and look at wave 7015, we can see I got 35.21 billion, which is still an increase of 4 billion coins over the course of the run. Therefore, if you're looking to do Orb Devo, I would recommend that you start out with Orb Devo and you move it over to a Blender build as your run continues. For me, I stopped at around 2500 to 3000, but Orb Devo is particular to where you're at in your build. You might stop doing Orb Devo at 1000 or 4000. It all depends on what's best for you. Real quick, I want to cover Orb Devo with the wall. Warning, don't get the wall unless you're earning about 250 to 500 billion a day, else you won't have enough to upgrade the wall to a usable state. Next, with our shockwave, we're going to increase our size from 1.4 meters to 1.6 meters. This helps shockwave account for the size of our wall and push our enemies back while still not pushing them back into the orbs. For Wall Thorn, since it only deals a percentage of our tower's thorn damage to enemies, we're going to go ahead and start with max thorn damage on our tower. Thank you so much if you guys made it to this point of the video. I know this has been a long time coming and I appreciate you being so patient. If you guys enjoyed this guide and found it helpful, go ahead and leave a like down below. Comment if you found this useful, share this with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe.